That's it right there.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Ogress Speed Shop. So we're working on the 70 GMC today. Hopefully we can get the engine put into the frame with the transmission and everything bolted up and get all the drivetrain in there, get fuel lines ran and whatnot. But first, get the cab off of here because I also want to clean the underside of the cab. So it's, since it's all apart right now, I might as well get it cleaned up so I don't have to worry about it later. And with the frame in the way, it's kind of a pain. So I want to get the cab back off. It's only 4 bolts holding it on, the main 4 motor or cab mounts. So that's what we're going to do. But first I'm going to build an apparatus for this to be able to stick it in through the cab right there and lift it straight up. So that's going to be a separate video, so you get to see how that's built, but that's what we're doing. We're going to get this cab off of here.
All right, this is time to see if it'll work as is or if I got to add some more bracing.
All right, so I unbolted everything, so it should be ready to go. It's a little front heavy. The cab mount shims. It's blowing a little bit, but it's holding it. I'm gonna bring her down right there for right now. So real quick, I'm gonna show you how much it's bowing. See, it's bowing about that much, but that's why I put the bar underneath. There's bars on top, that way the pressure's going up into it. But I don't know how much you can see on the video, but it's definitely bowing a little bit, but she's holding. I don't hear no creaking or popping or nothing like that, so something's working right. That actually worked out really easy. Just gonna bring her down a little bit so she's not dangling so high. Let me put jack stands on her. You see how the tilt action is actually working. It's staying level every time I move it up and down. Now I'm running the bar back here. So I can't go all the way down, which is fine. Let me just do jack stands. Definitely reaching the limits of this the engine stand. There you have it. Cab is off. All right, so the cab's off now, which is really nice. So now I can get in here and I'm gonna go ahead and drop the motor and transmission in like this. And then I'll be able to plumb the fuel lines much easier this way too, so I can run them all down through without the cab being in the way. Or having to climb underneath the car, I can do it all from the top. And as far as cleaning the underside of the truck, I've just remembered there's still some metal work I need to do. Need to make a patch panel for the kick panel down there. And clean up the welds from the floor pan replacement and clean all the rest of that stuff too. Get it cleaned and painted, maybe some undercoating. We're gonna get this engine and transmission in here and hopefully the fuel line's all plumbed up for this video. Maybe even get the cab back on, some wiring and some other stuff. Try to get as much done as we can. All right, I think it's about time to get this engine put between the frame rails of the truck. Get the transmission over here. I thought about cleaning it up, but nobody's gonna see it. I might scrub it down a little bit before I put it on, but it'll be open like this for a while, so I'll be able to clean it from the top if I really want to. So let's get it just bolted in for now. Well, that there's a nice sight. Seeing the motor, the engine, the transmission all in there. I did wipe down the transmission, Just spray it down with some of that super clean, just to wipe it down real quick. So yeah, now it kind of looks nice with the gas tank back there, transmission, engine in here. A couple little modifications I got to make is, for one, this exhaust manifold hits the valve covers. This is the one off the original 1982, 1970 GM or Chevy 350, and they hit the valve covers. The only problem I had with using these is this has a hole in it. Somebody drilled a hole in this one over here and put a bolt in it. I'm going to try the other ones. They exit somewhere in this area right here, so they might work. I don't know yet. But the problem with those is they have an EGR tube on them. So I got holes in all of them, whether I want them or not. But anyways, engine's in, looking good. I got bolted everything down, tightened everything down. But even these motor mounts aren't tight. I wanted to make sure they were in the right place and center the engine and everything before I dealt with tightening those down. But transmission's in, just because that's not bolted in. I'm probably gonna put a new mount on that. But other than that, we are getting a lot closer to this thing being on the road. Now that the engine and transmission are in the frame, I'm gonna go ahead and change out the transmission mount here. I've got this polyurethane one that I picked up at a little flea market locally here. I just happened to have it on a shelf. I'm like, for 15 bucks, heck yeah. So I'm gonna put that on. So you're gonna put this on here and so that we can bolt that down completely, get the cross member bolted in, and I can tighten down the motor mounts once I get it centered. All right, so I'm gonna jack this up a little bit to get that tranny mount out of there. I got a board underneath the transmission pan. That way, you should always put some kind of cushion between that and your jack. Can't remember what size those are. Probably 9/16 or bigger. That's seriously metric. How can it be metric? It's a freaking TH350. So you ever wonder sometimes when you're working, trying to figure out how the heck tools got to be where they're at? Especially when you work alone. It's found the 5/8 where the 9/16 is supposed to be, and the 9/16 is where the 15 is supposed to be, and the 15 is where the 5/8 is supposed to be. I don't know how that happened because I'm the only one that works here. Gremlins. Dang, it's a really long bolt. Well, that's interesting. There's a spacer underneath there. I wonder why. Huh. The width or the height is about the same between the polyurethane one and the original with that spacer in there. Don't know why there's a spacer though. There we go. As you can see, I don't have the cross member like bolted into the frame yet so hopefully once I get it bolted to the transmission, they'll still line up. Got one started, the other started, holes line up, good there. Oh yeah, we'll be good. And plenty of clearance. Cool. I'm gonna put some bolts in here just to have them lined up. All but one. Going in. Simple enough. All right, so those are lined up. So now we can go ahead and drop the transmission all the way down into its hole. Already got the 5/8 socket out here, so we can tighten down the mount. All right, so that's centered now. So everything else is centered, so we should be able to go ahead and tighten down everything now. Got to add some nuts and some more bolts to the cross member, but other than that, we're good. So I went through and I tightened down the motor mounts, bracket bolts. All the transmission mounts are tight now. These are typically riveted together, but I cut all those out so I could bolt it together so it makes for an easier install when you have it in the truck like this. So those are all tightened down now. So everything's tight and bolted in. So I put the freeze plugs in this on the front. All the freeze plugs are in because I was gonna flush it and everything, but it's really not that bad. I think just doing a flush after I get it running will be fine. Plus these are behind the motor mounts. Well, that one is. And these are behind the flex plate, so, yep. Oh yeah, I had to make a special, just made a real quick little bracket to hold the dipstick tube in. I don't know how it was mounted before. This was here, but if that was actually bolted to that, it wouldn't have kept that sealed. So I don't know what was going on with that. So, but yeah, everything's tight now and bolted down where it needs to be. I decided, why not go down a rabbit hole and mess with the drive shafts? I was just going to put them in, but the mid bearing was pretty crusty. And I mean, the bushing wasn't too bad, so it would have been fine, but the bearing just felt crunchy. So I took it off because I looked it up before. I'm like, it shouldn't be too hard to find. Yeah, now I can't find them, especially with the rubber around them. So, or you can't seem to find this piece. So I don't know. That's gonna be fun because this is a weird, kind of a different style where this clamps together here like that. And that's what holds it in. It's not like one piece. And then this clamps to the centerpiece on the frame over here. So this goes up underneath that. And that's what holds the mid bearing. Well, now I got to figure out what mid bearing I need. And I messed this little cup up that goes here, which is just kind of a cover. It doesn't like press in or nothing. And then this goes on here. And then the bearing with these cups, which are not, useful anymore. So I don't know if I'm going to find the parts to even repair this now. So I might have to go a different route with it. Not sure yet. But I'm going to look around some more, see if I can find at least a bearing. And maybe there's other pieces I can get to. I don't know. But yeah, I screwed that up. So I'm looking at this too, and the yoke. It's kind of got some grooves in it as well. So I don't know. Might need some rebuilds on this. All right, we're going to start working on getting the fuel system all plumbed here. First thing I'm starting off with are these adapters to take it to flared fitting for fuel line, for hard line. And it's just a 1/4 inch MPT on this side, and then your 3/8 tube nut, which is 5/8 18, I think, if I remember right. Don't quote me on that, but I'll put it down the screen once I figure it out. But I'm going to use red Loctite for it to seal the threads, just because it's more fuel resistant than the white stuff. So to convert this to carburetor fuel pressure, I'm going to be running a fuel pressure regulator. And typically I would run, a lot of times you have a 3/8 supply line and a 5/16 return line. But I'm running all 3/8 lines. So okay, there's one. All right, so those are on there. So now I got to start worrying about how we're going to route the lines. This is the supply line. So I'm going to come off of here and loop down somewhere in the rail here to go forward, but it's just going to be going, I'm going to put the fuel pressure regulator back here someplace, so that way it's not traveling very far. And yeah, I think that's the goal. But yep, get those in, and now we can start thinking about what we're doing for the line. So what I'm using for the hard line is this steel line or coated steel line from O'Reilly's. And it's their poly armor or whatever, but it's the part number is PAC 625, and it's 25 feet of it. We got another roll over here that I started straightening out. So I just lay it on the ground and kind of roll it out to get it started to straighten out, and then I just kind of do everything by hand at that point. I'm gonna get a measurement and figure out exactly how much I need, and I'll cut it off a little bit long because I'm not sure where I'm putting the pressure, fuel pressure regulator yet. So we'll figure that out once it gets here. Hopefully it gets here soon this week. Just gonna get kind of a rough measurement of how much we're gonna need. 5, 15, go all the way over and around to here, just in case. I'm not sure where I'm gonna put the fuel pressure regulator at. But I wanna get some lines started here. So that's 15 plus 20, so 35. And let's say, let's do 50 inches. Right around here. That's going to be the first line to start out with. You want to clean up the ends of these too before you flare them or anything. So the way I clean up the ends of it, I just use a chamfering tool, or a countersink, whatever you want to call it. Just gently get the burr off of there. So the next thing we're going to get out is my flaring tool here. And we're going to flare the ends of this with a double flare. And make sure you always put your nut on first. It really doesn't matter for this one because we're only doing one end. So that way it's not jumping around on me. And the way this works, grab your 3/8 clamp here. I did a whole video on doing these fuel line flarings. And it's actually probably, I think it's my most popular video. It's got over 100,000 views. So, you know, in 3 years, but almost 3 years. All right, so once you got it clamped in there, you grab your first flare portion for 3/8. Get your first flare die in there, crank her down, make all kinds of noise. And then you just pump her up until she stops. Release it, unscrew it, and you put your 45-degree flare tool in there. Pump it till it stops, and then unscrew it. And hit the bed with the tube again. Don't forget to drop everything as you're doing it too. And at that point, you're left with a perfect double flare. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is put a bend in it. And I'm going to try to go about 90 degrees, or a little bit less than 90 degrees, so I can go forward and down. So somewhere right in that area there, let me mark it. Around there. I always mark the direction I want the bend to go to. I'm going to use my tubing bender here. The tubing bender actually has marks on it to tell you where to, like after you mark the tubing, where the bend's going to be. I went too far. Yep, it's a little too far. That looks good right there. So we want to go, kind of want to go along with the tank here, but I just want to go further forward. I'm going to bend it right at the tank. I want to go down. Kind of hard to get this measurement here, but so that'll work out. The next bend, I'm just going to kind of measure down, go about 3 inches. Now we're going to make our bend towards the front. And it's going to go between. So we want the bend to be right about here. Going towards this way. All right, so there's the first piece bent and ran. A lot of times when you put it in, you got to tweak it a little bit just to get it fit right, but as long as you don't overbend it, you're good. All right, so we got the first line kind of done there. That'll be good enough to run a fuel line too. I don't know if I'm gonna put the fuel pressure regulator in this area or up here. Basically gotta wait till I have it to do any more because I'm not gonna run anything to the front until I know what I need, because I want to do exact length, not to waste any. So the first line's done. And we can do the return line, but like I said, I don't know where the fuel pressure regulator is going to go yet. So we're going to have to wait till that gets here for that. So we're going to move on to something else. So I know we heard this fire up in the last video, but couldn't really hear it fire up. So I put some exhaust on it. It's not the full exhaust, but it should be enough to be able to hear the motor. And hopefully there's nothing wrong with it. Because the way, as loud as it was, I couldn't even tell if there was noise or not coming from it. So let's hope that exhaust is enough to see if we can hear a little better with exhaust on it. with the exhaust on there, at least most of the exhaust. If I put the mufflers on, it'd be really easy. But definitely made a big difference as far as being able to listen to it. And I didn't hear any noise whatsoever coming from the engine. So no rattles, no clanks, no nothing. Let's just check oil pressure again real quick. Some fuel in there. This thing's sucking the gas down, that's for sure. So we definitely got oil pressure, which is good. So I'm happy with that. Now we can start putting the real parts on. All right, so now we know it doesn't make any noises when it's got exhaust on it and the engine sounds good. Oil gauge. But anyways, we can go ahead and stab the distributor. All right, so we want it somewhere in this realm right here. Did it just drop in first try? It sure did not. Yeah, I gotta rotate the oil pump a little bit. Right about there. Actually, I don't know how that happened, but that went right in that time. Isn't that crazy how sometimes it just won't go, but then all of a sudden it just goes where it's supposed to? And that looks like it's pointing number one to me. We kind of talked about this before. Does it really matter where it points? It doesn't, as long as you set the timing to that cylinder, you know, so it can be anywhere. As long as number one goes to that when it needs to go to that. It's pretty simple. But anyways, now we got the new distributor installed. Back down a little bit just to hold it in place. Okay, still move it to adjust it. It's tight enough to where it won't move on its own. Now installing the cap, we know about where number one's going to be at. There's a nipple. Stupid things are key. You think it'd be really easy to find that for it to just go on. So number one is this one right here. Just going to mark it so we know. So I did spend some time off camera trying to get this to line up more with number one, and the closest I can get to is like technically number one's piston, but I like it being a little bit further out this direction, so that's where we're going to go with it right there. Unless we discover in the future that there's a reason it needs to be somewhere else. There you have it. Make sure you plug the plug back in. It did not clip. Yeah, pin's bent. Try that again. This time before I put it back on. There it goes. All right, well, it looks like second time's a charm. So this is the second time I ordered this. First one, the package came empty. And the bag that it came in didn't even look like it was big enough to hold this box, but let's see what we got here. And there you have it. There's my fuel pressure regulator. Very nice, comes with fittings. Now it comes with dash 8 orb to dash 8 AN fitting for one and a dash 6 for the other. But I'm doing dash 6 for both. So I already bought those from Summit. See how it's an orb to dash 8. And that's an orb to dash, well, that's dash 8 as well. And there's one that's supposed to be dash 6. There it is. It's in the spring bag. Or it's just wrapped around in the spring. But there it is. There's dash 6 compared to the dash 8. So now we can set up our fuel system in the back of the frame. Now you can see I got a, so this is for return style. So you got an in and an out and an out. So in, return, out, or vice versa. I gotta figure out which one's which, but either way, we can now set up the fuel system, and you see I put the dash 6 ones in. These are the dash 8. But I should have known better than trying to get ahead of the game here. So this thing, this regulator does not fit inside the frame rail. It's too tall. Plus, you know, I gotta have a return line coming out of there. So I think what I'm gonna do, which means this line we made is gonna come out. I'm gonna remake it. I think I'm gonna put this right here in that center section. So that way there's plenty of room for it to live. I could put it under the hood, but then I'm running twice as much line. And this way I keep, you know, all the freaking lines back here and only have one going to the front. So that's what I'm gonna do it there. So I'm gonna mount it right in that area there. And then run everything to it. Just gonna mark this, put this somewhere right in here. As long as this is, you know, below the tank, then we should be good. This will never get high enough to hit this. At least I hope not, unless the spring breaks or something, but. Drill some holes. So I'm going to put rim nuts in it. I'm going to drill it out. I think it's to 5/16. I don't know for sure. I have a dedicated drill to use for my rim nuts for a 1032 screw. So. And I know some of you are out there thinking, now what is a rib nut? That right there is a rib nut. And I'll show you how it works. So you have this little tool right here. And has this little adapter that you screw the rib nut onto. And you stick it in the hole. And you squeeze. And what that does, it gives you a perfect 1032 hole to screw put your screw into. One more. This metal is pretty thick, so it sucks it in real easy. And there you have it. They make bigger ones too that have like double handles. That's for bigger rib nuts. This is a small, pretty small one. It's my favorite size actually. I use it for a lot of things. So now I got some 1032 screws. And they just screw directly in there. There we go. So my buddy Bryant over at Current Alpha Performance, the shop I used to work at, we had to talk, and he's like, "You're gonna cut an access hole for your fuel pump and for the regulator?" I'm like, "Not at first, but if I have to, I can." But the bed comes off with 6 bolts, especially now since they're gonna not be rusted through. So if I really need to remove it, I will. But yeah. So that's where we're at. So we got plenty of room there. That's where the bed's that's pretty much the lowest point of the bed. So when that clears everything, we should be good on that. So now we gotta remake this line right here. Get this one out of here and start making a new one. I'm gonna waste it a little bit, but that's why I bought 50 feet of it. So I got plenty to spare and to screw up with. Like I said before, I go into these things with no idea what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to work on this new line to run down through here and over to the fuel pressure regulator. So I just got to cut the length now, and then I'm going to show you the how you flare for a AN fitting. All right, so this is your standard double flare type of kit. This here's a 45-degree angle on that for finishing off the flare up here. Now the difference for an AN, you see it says right there, 37 degree for double flaring. Now I had a comment about why would you double flare for ANs because it has a sleeve that seals it. Well, not in this case. The sleeve is just a pressure. It's just a point of pressure for it. See that right there, the sleeve? The actual flange like this is what's going to be sealing on the 37 degree. Like anything else, you don't want to make sure you put your nut on first. There's a sleeve that goes on, so the nut, and then the sleeve. Now we can go in here and use the tool to flare it. I didn't hit record when I was actually making the flare, but so that's a flare for an AN. And like I said, it's a 37-degree angle, so that allows it to seal onto an AN fitting. And that sleeve is what holds it in place. And then you can screw it on your fitting. If you look at the other side, the other end of it, that's a regular 45 double flare. You can see it doesn't, well, kind of hard to see, but it doesn't seal. You can move around on it, whereas this 37 degree fits perfectly and can seal. All right, so now you got this first line made, so you can run it through here. It's not an easy way to do this, but it's good to go around and down and through and over. Now that can go right to there. Screw onto that fitting. So there's our main feed into our fuel pressure regulator. That's simple. Just make your own lines. I think I need to still tighten these orbs down, but gives us an idea where we're at. And you've got plenty of room to loosen and pull it away, so it's got, you can tighten and loosen everything. Okay, so the one going forward will be the easiest because it's just down and kind of feeds the whole way down. I just don't know how far I'm going to go with it yet. And I don't think that roll has enough to do that whole thing. Because I kind of want to just go to the firewall, or I guess I could go to the original location up by where the fuel pump would go. So then it could route like a regular carburetor. So I don't know, we'll figure all that out. The return line is going to go, I'm going to run it the same way. Then I run it this way and up and around into this port right here. So, but yeah, we got the main feed line into it now. There's your first line. Going through up to the tank, right into the regulator. That'll be the exit, going to the front, and then the return underneath there. Well, I was kind of worried about there not being enough of that line left, but I'd say we got plenty. So this needs to go from there down the frame rail. I'm probably going to bring it out to right around in this area here, next to where the fuel pump would normally be. And then I can just run the filter and everything up that way. So yeah, that's definitely plenty. Just gotta get it straightened out. It's a pain in the butt to unroll that thing. All right, so we got the line from the output of the fuel pressure regulator all the way down. I'm waiting on some Adele clamps. I gotta go to town and grab some, but I'm gonna wait till tomorrow because it's already 6 o'clock. And it runs all the way out to here. So I think we have plenty for it to go right to about here. So I think we're good. I just remembered something, that I don't have a thermostat or plugs for these or anything. So I got to find some stuff. All right, so I got the fuel line ran all the way to the front to right there. I think I might try to figure out some way of attaching this up here too, just so it doesn't bounce around. I put a piece of rubber hose around it because it's running behind these bolts here and on top of these bolts here. So just want to protect it a little bit from any kind of rubbing. I mean, it's in there pretty solid, but that's why like one more point of attachment maybe over here somewhere, like in that area, but it really doesn't need it. So I think we'll be all right there. So, but yeah, so that's run all the way back down through and tied up with the Adele clamps the whole way down and right into the fuel pressure regulator. So if y'all notice, see, I put a nice little bubble flare on the end of that line. So we can put a clamp on there. You don't have to worry about the hose coming off. I put out a video, one of my very first videos since we moved to Oklahoma. It's actually one of my most popular ones. It's got over 100,000 views. So I'll put the link for that down there so you can see how I did that. So since this has a hole in it, somebody drilled and put a bolt in. It seems to be fine, but since it's cast iron, I don't have any way of welding that. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off just to test fit the one that came with the motor, with the Vortec engine. See if it fits down in there. If it does, maybe figure out a way to modify the exhaust, which isn't that hard. I can just get a flange probably to make it fit that. If this even fits in between the fuel rail or the frame rails, because this sticks out quite a ways. And that way it would also clear for the dipstick. So we'd be able to bolt the dipstick in the way it's supposed to be. Right now I just have it lock wired on there just to hold it in place. Otherwise I have to do some kind of extension or something to bring this out and bolt it in somehow. So we'll figure something out, but I'm gonna pull that exhaust manifold off just for the hell of it. I got that one on, or off, I should say. So I'm gonna try to weld it while it's off. If I can seal that up, then great. I don't have to worry about changing anything. And we'll have to make an adapter for this to somehow attach to where it's supposed to right there. See the bolt hole? But I have to go through the exhaust manifold if we want to fit that on there. So, good times. It's funny how the differences show up in different years on these things, huh? All these exhaust manifolds, just like I thought, don't fit. It's not because of this area though. It's because it doesn't clear the motor mounts up here, because these drop down instead of over. All right, so I'm playing around with different dipstick tubes here. This is the original one from the 350 that came in the truck, and it bolts right down there, which would be perfect. However, the dipstick isn't long enough to go down into the oil. It only gets like a little drop to where it says add a quart, which is, you know, adding more. This has exactly 5 quarts in it, which is, it takes 5.1. So yeah, I'm not sure about what I'm gonna do with that. I might take this tube here, add a bracket like that down here, so I can bolt it in and still have that nice long tube that goes out to the front of the engine. So where we're at with that though. All right, so the plan is now, well, as you can see, I welded a bolt into that hole, so at least it'll be sealed. I don't know how long it'll last because it is cast iron, and I don't know if it's gonna work, but it seemed to take, and we'll see. It's ugly as hell because I couldn't get it to burn very good. Next thing we're gonna do is make this dipstick tube work. And there's a mounting point right there for the old one. That's where the old one would have been mounted to. So I'm gonna cut this bracket off here and then make one down here and weld it on so it holds it in place down there and get rid of this thing altogether. That way we still have this nice long dipstick tube that comes out from to the front of the engine. I might even bend it a little bit in this area, right in that area, just to bring it in closer to the engine. So I'm just gonna modify a little bit, make it work. This is what I have so far. Just a simple little straight bracket that curved around the tube. I put some holes in it so I can spot weld it there. And then when I get it out, take it out, I can kind of finish welding it all up. And hopefully I don't burn too many holes in it, because this is really thin. All right, there you have it. One finished bracket. It's a little wobbly up here, but I think it's just because the metal's a little thin. But I mean, as long as you're careful taking it out, and you can do it with one hand still. Yeah, I could probably add another brace somewhere else on it, but or maybe put a gusset on that to strengthen it. But it seems to be just flexible up here because of the distance. Who knows? It'll do for one of the other things I did just for now, because I still don't know what carb I'm going to be running, but this one works somewhat. I just made a little, you know, tube right here to be able to run down to the main line. Once I get, still waiting on I ordered a 90 degree orb fitting to be able to put the return line in. And because just bending a line was made it drop down way too low, a lot lower than I wanted it to go. So I ordered that. So that's what I'm waiting for to finish the fuel system. And then that'll be done. And I can put the exhaust back up on there, I guess. But next thing will be finding fittings to do the water pump. So I need to find a 90 degree 5/8, or I guess it doesn't need to be 5/8 for this bypass. It can be whatever size I find. I think I got a straight that goes into here, but it sticks out so far, I don't know how much hose I'm gonna need, and I don't know what I can find for this. It's a 3/4 MPT. So I'm gonna find a fitting that has a 90 on it that'll fit that. The other things I was gonna do is I'm gonna put this vacuum port in here, back here. So I'm gonna need a vacuum source for the transmission. And you know, so if I put that in there, that'll give me the vacuum for that. I don't think there's anything else I need to tap into this with. I can grab this from the front. So yeah, I think that's about all that really needs. Then now that I am going to use these exhaust manifolds, I can go ahead and do the custom cut spark plug wires as well. All right, for us to get this fuel pressure regulator down to between 3 and 20 psi, we got to change the spring. So we got to pull that top off and change out the spring. So in the packaging, it was labeled. This is the mid-range one. There's a 40 to 70 and a 3 to 20. So this must be the 20 to 40, I would assume. It's already in there. But we need the light spring because we are running a carburetor. So like that. For I was wondering how much pressure would be. It wasn't much. I think this is the lightest spring out of them all, so should be real easy. That one out, this one in. You don't have to cross thread anything. Click, 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 ding, and click. All right, spring is changed. Now we can go low pressure. Right, so we got the new spring installed in the fuel pressure regulator back there. Up here we got a hose fitting in there for the heater. Blocked that one off. Got a heater hose fitting for there. Waiting on, I ordered a 90 degree 3/4 MPT to 5/8 barb for this. Got to get this, I'm going to go to town tomorrow, probably get this, thermostat housing gasket, some hose, some vacuum lines, and I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I put the vacuum port on there so we can, need some 1/4 inch hard line too to run the, for the vacuum modulator on the transmission. So from here to here, I want to do hard line except for on the ends. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're getting really close to being able to fire this up on its own. Well, of course, we need the cab on there with the wiring and all that stuff to actually crank it from the car. But yeah, we should be able to put power to the fuel pump anytime we want to test all this and fire it up off of it. So yeah, we're getting close. I think the next thing we're gonna do, since we are gonna be using these exhaust manifolds, is we can run our cut to fit spark plug wires. So this kit's really nice. It's an Excel plug wire kit, and it's 4041K universal 90 degree boot, and it comes with either point style distributor or HEI, and we have the HEI, so that's what we're gonna make. All right, so the way these headers or manifolds are designed, you have to run the front ones, around the front to make it a lot easier. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start from there instead of trying to run them back and around. You can't really. You can't go up and over. So I'm going to use the longest one I have, or one of the longest ones. Start off with that. Go ahead and plug it in. And then I'm going to route it to where I want it to route. Trying to keep in mind, that there are holes here for mounting your bracketry and whatnot. So, give enough room to go up that way. And figuring out a way there's a couple of holes here I can use as mounting points. I can mount off of the valve cover gaskets if I want to, or valve covers if I want to. But just want to get an idea of where the size is. And this is number 1, so it's going to go to right about there. I want to give it enough slack just for, whatever. I get my marker and mark it. So I just want it to be as clean as possible. So it gives just a little bit extra slack. So I can always make it up to slack in different areas to pull it through once I start mounting them. So I'm going to mark it right about here. And then we're going to go over to the bench and we're going to make it. Actually, another thing I want to do, I want to mark like how it naturally falls. So I want the boot to be 90 degrees going straight down like this to where it's a natural feel. So I'm gonna mark the top of it. So I know the opposite direction it needs to be, the boot needs to be pointing. And so there's a couple different ways you can crimp these things. I got this Blue Point crimper. It has a specific tool that has the crimp for them. Or MSD, on all their kits, they come with this little tool right here that you use in a vise. So it has these little flaps on it and put in a vise that lines it up. And you crimp it that way. So it's two different ways of doing it that I have. So the other thing I have is this cool little stripper. Yeah, it's a stripper. So it allows you to strip it down to the wire, to the core, without damaging it. So first we're going to cut it off where it needs to be. Actually, I'm going to go about 1/2 inch past that. I use my tool here to strip it down. You see how it leaves that little bit of core material right there, right? And I cut off the part that I had the marking on, didn't I? I sure did. Or did I? Did I erase all the markings I made? Let's just check it real quick and remark it. I'm glad you guys didn't get to see that. Oh, that hurt. Just cracked my knee on the freaking spindle over there. Oh boy. Okay. So the way you do these crimps, you gotta kind of squeeze it in a little bit. All right, so you want the, I want the 90 to be down from what I marked it at. A little bit of fuzz on there. So my mark's on top here, so I want the 90 to face downward. And the way you do that is you take your core here and you flip it around the side and then tuck it into it like that. And you take your crimper, and there is a direction on it, the way it goes. There's a little tab. It's kind of like a little W. So you want that facing towards the opening of the crimp, or the connector. Just come in here, center it nicely, and then crimp. You get your perfect crimp for your boot. Now, all you gotta do is feed it through your boot here. I'm gonna add a little grease to it. So I'm gonna use some just good old dielectric grease to lube it up. And you just slide her on. Just push her through till you see the end come out. Every now and then it pops because there's a little bit of rubber that you gotta pop through sometimes. And you should have a rag nearby because you will get dielectric grease all over you. All right, let's go put this one on, see how it looks. Speaking of dielectric grease, I'm not gonna press it all the way on the spark plug because I still need to replace those. I want to at least touch it. There it goes. So that's number one. And click. Now it gives me enough room to be able to route it and tie it up nicely. And I just gotta do the rest of them. And I'll be back when they're done. This is kind of cool. We have a couple extra leftovers, which is always nice in case you screw something up. But I didn't on this one. So we got all the wires run now. They run pretty neatly though, just the way they are. Up and around and through. So I think we'll do pretty good. I mean, I'm still gonna tie them off somehow to make them, to clean them up even more. These are the same wires I use on the Firebird, and I just like them because it allows you to really customize the length and the way they look. So this is definitely a lot better than the big blue wires sticking out of the top of the distributor cap. So nice, and they blend nicely. And I'll definitely put some separators on them just to clean them up, because we do have those ones, and might use the zip tie method, you know. If you know what that is, I'll probably show it just so everybody can know what it is. But yeah, that's where we're at. You get all the plug wires on there. So now we could officially fire it up again if we wanted to. The thing I still need to get is new spark plugs, because it still has 3 different kinds of spark plugs in it, which came with the motor. So yeah, probably run into town tomorrow, probably pick some of those up, because I need vacuum hose for the transmission modulator, for the vacuum modulator. I need fuel line. I need 1/4-inch hard line for that modulator. Yeah, so definitely gonna make a trip into town tomorrow. I might go to the junkyard tomorrow too, look for some pulleys and some accessory brackets too. So we'll see. If we do, you'll go along with me. Just noticed something. It's gonna be a problem. The heater port. And I don't know if I could run one over here with this thermostat. But yeah, we'll figure that out though. That ain't a big deal right now. Can always get a 45 and point it straight out. But this probably isn't the carb I'm gonna be running anyways. It's just one I have that I'm utilizing to try things out with. So, yep, we'll figure it all out. I got this port coming on the way. Should be here Tuesday, I think, so it won't be in this video. That's the other thing I gotta get from CarQuest tomorrow. But yeah, we're getting there. I think it's time to see if it'll fire up on the HEI. Yep, carburetor sucks, but HEI works. Sounds pretty dang good. All right, I just got back from town to get a few things that's needed for the engine. I got this heater port, and I'll show you where that goes. Actually, I'll show you right now. So this is going to be the bypass I'm using up here, so it's going to go in there on the intake, and that 90 degree is coming today. So I'm going to run that with this to bypass that hole down on the factory down here on the water pump, since there isn't a hole there in the block. So hopefully that'll work the same way as what it was originally, but I don't know yet. Hopefully it doesn't make it overheat or anything. I also got a fuel filter. I got a piece of 1/4-inch NICOP, but that's just going to be for the vacuum modulator for the transmission. So I'm going to run that to here. And what else did I get? Some fuel line, vacuum hoses, and new spark plugs. So get this thing going, getting a little bit closer to what it needs to be. And the parts are coming to finish the fuel system back there too. So the 90 degree orb fitting for the fuel pressure regulator, it is coming today. So is part of the drive shaft that I screwed up. This piece right here, there's a seal that goes in there. I had to order that because it just disintegrated when I pulled it off to clean it. I'm still waiting on the bearing that I ordered to see if it'll even work. I ordered one that's just the right inside diameter. So, but anyways, let's get putting this stuff on. I'm going to thread this into the intake here. It's a 3/8 NPT to 5/8 hose barb. There you go. Kind of the plan for this. Just do a 90 into that. Hopefully there'll be enough there that I can just kind of push it over and get that to go on there. So the next thing we can do is get this fuel system mostly done. Now remember, this is a temporary fuel system, so just keep that in mind. So this part here to the back is going to stay, but I don't know what I'm doing for a carburetor yet. But always make sure you check your arrow too. See, that's point to the carb. I'll lose that. Those are good. Don't worry, I'm going to put hose clamps on it eventually. So that's good enough to keep the fuel filtered, going to the carburetor. All right, let's get a thermostat housing gasket on here. Oops, I don't want to tighten it. I'm just going to put the gasket on and kind of hope for it to seal properly. And that's not fitting right. Well, that ain't cool. Okay, so we're not doing the thermostat housing gasket. It doesn't fit. Interesting. I'll take that back. Well, let's go ahead and get the spark plugs changed out at least. So I bet y'all thought I was kidding about the 3 different kinds of plugs in this thing. You got the Motorcraft, you got AC Delcos and the older AC Delcos, which is I think what I just put back in there, the 44s. Yep. So I just went with copper plugs since it's basically a small block Chevy. And they're cheaper. They're like $3 compared to $10. So to heck with iridiums or platinums. So they're all on there now. Let's go ahead and start working on the vacuum modulator for the transmission. I already cut the end of this off so we can flare it and get these nuts off here because we don't need those. And then we'll start bending and make it look pretty. Oh, I went to make a flare. I made a flare on here to a little bubble flare, but I'm not used to it being so soft, so I went a little too far. So I'm going to redo that. That turned out much better. Just barely a little ledge there to hold it on there. So I can live with that. Basically, as soon as I felt it, the hydraulics actually touched it, just a half a pump and it was done. So this Nycop's really soft. Now I'm kind of curious to see how well it'll bend, because I'm going to do a complete 180-degree bend on this thing. So let's see how well it does. Oh wow, that's so soft. Just like butter. Didn't smash it enough to worry about for vacuum. A nice little 90-degree there. And why did I do a 90-degree? So it can go like that and head forward. Being as how soft this stuff is, I'll probably do most of the bends by hand. So I get an idea of how far forward I need to go here. Right about there. Just gradually bend. That'll probably work right there. It runs along the dipstick tube here. You could actually probably go behind the dipstick tube too, but it'll make it easier just doing it this way. All right, and we need to go over here. We attach this down here with a piece of hose, that way it's in place. So now I just need to bend this over to meet this. And we'll have our two. So let me get a marker so I can mark that. Stuff really does bend super simple, or simply easy. I don't know how to say that. How would you say that? So I want it to be right around there. It needs to be approximately a finger width. So I need to cut that off. Precise measurements here. Gonna leave room for the hose too. We gotta take it off and crimp it. We'll make a bubble on it so the vacuum hose has something to stop up against. This thing's just always in the way. I don't want to take it off yet though, because I don't have any other way of, well, I guess I could put a block off on it, but let's see if we got enough room to actually fit this on here. I'll take it all the way off. I'll set it a little lower for this, just so it doesn't over crimp it or over flare it. So like I said before, I go down until it stops right about there, and just one little pump. See, look at that perfect little bubble. Quick little bend over. Bend over. Still clearing the vacuum advance here, just so it doesn't get in the way. It's a nice, easy little bend. Now we got a nice, neat, pretty looking vacuum modulator for the transmission. Need a tiny little piece of vacuum hose now. And just like that, we have a vacuum modulator. Could probably zip tie that to the dipstick tube too, but it doesn't really need to. It's not going anywhere. Maybe I'll wrap it so it doesn't rattle, but I mean, other than that, I think we're good on that. We got some parts in, right on. Get these things open. Well, it looks like we went 2 for 3 on this one, so that's right, this is not right. See, the one I have, this cap screws on, and the rubber part was part of that, so this is all just rubber. Unless it fits over the shaft, I don't know. We'll have to try it, but Not looking good for that one, but these two are good. So let's get these installed. Orb O-ring fitting. So that just screws right up in there. I'll put a little bit of lube on it so it didn't screw it up. Alright. So this has a swivel on it so I can point it in any direction I want once it's tightened down. There it goes. I'm going to point it this way so I can route with the other one and tight. I don't know if you can see or not, but it swivels in there so I can move that anywhere I want. Pretty nice. I just got to make the line. Give you a little closer up view here. See how it swivels? So you can point that in any direction you want. We're going to go that way so we can go right down the side and around with this one here and then back up into this fitting right here. So there's a possibility you can make this work. So this is the right size, right? Everything for that. So that fits under the shaft and it fits over this one. So we might be able to get that to screw on there since it's rubber. Or maybe just press on there. So I don't know. But we're getting, yeah, I think we can make that work. So we're gonna go ahead and get this installed and see if it's gonna work or not. So we might have to remove that hose first. Easy enough. It's a big fitting. You get a wrench. All right, now can we make a hose work on that? All right, we got her on there. I think that'll work, and at least until it doesn't, so we'll run with that for now. Well, the worst thing could have happened just happened. I broke this freaking fitting. I was trying to put the fitting in, and it broke right off. So I had to use an easy out to get it out, and now I gotta find this piece to replace. Yay. The good thing is we got this side hooked up, and the line's actually made, but unfortunately, I broke the stupid fitting. So I gotta figure out a replacement for it. That's the return line. Until I can order a new one of these fittings, I'm gonna jerry rig something real quick just to get a return, because it's just a return line, so not a big deal. So I just made this line right here and stick it down the hole. I might seal it, I don't know. Shouldn't have to matter because I'm not planning on filling the tank up or anything. So I'm gonna run a coupler to hold these two together. So that way I still have a return line. All right, there you go. It's good enough for now for a return line. Just in order for me to test it anyway, so there's no big deal. So I got the fuel pump working and I've been firing it up off of it, kind of, well, sort of. If you see, got about 4.5 pounds of pressure, which is perfect. Problem is the rear adjuster for your bowls is, for the float is leaking, but it fires right up. But I left the torque converter disconnected for a reason. Unfortunately, it keeps catching, but it fires right up now and idles. Oh, gotta turn it on first. Idles basically until the torque converter catches. You'll hear it. That's it right there. So, and then it starts spewing fluid. But yeah, she's idling, but I can't get it to, if I rev it, it just dies. And oil pressure's still good. Everything's running good. But the fuel pump is working and getting fuel up here and right about 4.5 PSI, which is perfect for now. So I think since that's happening, it's time to make some transmission cooler lines. And I'll just lube them together for now, just so I can keep testing without it doing that, and I'll just hook the torque converter up. But yeah, that's that was a mess, but yeah, it's idling. It's just it's leaking really bad out of the secondary float adjuster. So I don't know. Then, like I said, that carburetor's a couple years old, been sitting for a while. It was idling good though until the torque converter decided to catch. But anyways, the fuel pump's working, the fuel pressure regulator's working. We got about 4.5 PSI up here. I don't know how accurate it is because of the leak, but it should be fairly accurate, but it's obviously not shutting off either. So, but yeah, we're getting there. That's what I wanted to do today, was test that fuel pump and whatnot. And I just gotta wait to be able to order the new, another fitting for this. But that'll work for now for what little bit of fuel I put in there. So yeah, yay. And I do want to put a relay for the fuel pump too. I don't like just going hot all the time, which is why I just have it, just touching it up here. So, but yeah, that's where we're at. Well, I think that's going to do it for this video. This video has gone kind of long, but we did cover a lot of stuff. We got the engine in, the fuel system ran, got it fired up on a new distributor. Lots of stuff and lots of little tech things too, like making the fuel lines and whatnot. So, if anybody, all you people that are still here, I appreciate you watching till the end. But yeah, we're going to have to end it here because it's getting a little bit long. And but we got a lot more coming. We got to probably rebuild the carburetor. Got to clean up the cab, get the cab put back on, get some wheels and tires on the front, get some suspension, some braking, all kinds of good stuff to go. So make sure you hit that like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notifications while you're at it. And we'll get this thing going. Appreciate y'all being here. So until next time, I will see y'all later.